Hello everyone, my name's Colin, welcome to Onion Skin, and I want to talk to you about probably the most important thing to understand when first learning how to use any Toon Boom product, and I highly recommend that this is the first thing you watch if you've just gotten the program or are learning it for the first time. I've mentioned it several times in my videos so far, but I wanted to have one exclusively about it, just to kind of help you get to grips with what this is and how it works. So the way Toon Boom is structured, or the way the timeline is structured, is drawings and frames are two very, very different things. And if you don't know that, you can run into a lot of problems that can be very confusing and very frustrating. But when you understand how it works and how to take advantage of it, it becomes a very smooth process and pushes the usefulness of all the Toon Boom products much further than it could have if this wasn't a thing. And what that thing is you can think of it as every layer is a piece of paper, and then you make your drawings on that piece of paper. And there's two ways you can interact with your page. You can pick up the artwork and move it around your page, or erase parts and draw new bits, etc., etc. Or you can actually pick up the page itself and move your entire piece of paper to another spot, moving your page around the desk, if you will. Now for this time, I'd like to direct your attention to this button here of the running man. This is the animate mode switch, and I'd like to encourage you to leave it on, especially for the time being. This allows things to be keyframed when moving them about. So also when I refer to pages in this video, that just means the layer itself and the frames that are on it. The correct term is cell, but I'm going to say page, because I think it's a very universal term for us to understand it as we come to identify the difference between the layers themselves and the drawings upon them. So to demonstrate, you can see on frame 1 I have a drawing that has appeared. And if I use the black arrow and select it, you can see it turns orange. Every piece of line has an outline around it. And as I roll over the artwork, it changes to that movement arrowy icon, and I can pick it up and move it around just like that. Now this is moving the actual drawing on the page. It's not moving the page itself. I should get rid of that. Just moving the drawing. Now if I select it with this tool here, this is the free transform tool, you see the whole thing turns purple, and it gets a bounding box around the entire image as opposed to the individual pieces of lines. This is move the actual page itself mode. And as I move it across, notice a dot has appeared on the drawing. This is a keyframe. This registers to the program that the physical position of the drawing has changed. This is how you create any form of motion path, motion tween, cutout animation, if all those terms. To demonstrate further, if I extend the exposure of this drawing out to 20 frames, and on frame 20, using the free transform tool, move it back over to the other side, you can see two dots have been connected by a line, and an animation has begun. Is that making sense? Now if I remove those keyframes, you can see the page, or the layer, has snapped back to where I first drew it. And if on frame 1, I select it with the black arrow and move it to the left, no keyframe has appeared. If I go over to frame 20 and move it to the other side and I expect it to animate, it's not going to, because I've moved the actual image on the page as opposed to the page itself. Keyframe animation happens by moving pages around the field. So if you want to have more than one animating character, they will both need to be on their own layers, or it won't work. So I'm going to select him and cut, create a new layer, and paste here. And now they are on their own separate layers. I'll extend this exposure out to 20. It can be done by right-clicking on the frame you want, going to extend exposure. If you right-click along the timeline and activate timeline view, you can see these keyframe buttons here. I can set a keyframe at the beginning and the end of both of these layers, and using the free transform tool on each one, animate them as I please. So that's moving the pages as opposed to moving the artwork. Layers and drawings, two different things. This carries over into frame by frame animation as well, when you create one drawing after another to create movement. So removing these keyframes again, say on this first layer, I wanted to change the pose he's standing in on frame 30, but if I copy and paste the frame, a new frame has indeed appeared, but it is calling the same drawing that appears on this section because I copied and pasted the page itself. Why that's a problem is if I update this artwork in any way, it has updated the original as well, because they are literally both the same page that is being used twice. To create a different pose, I need to copy the actual drawing artwork itself, not the page. So if I copy that and then go to a blank frame and paste, it will have created a completely new drawing, which is a copy of the first one. So if I erase this and go back to the first, you can see it is indeed different. Another and more sensible way of doing this is to simply duplicate the page. To do this, select anywhere along where you want your new drawing to be, and there is a button along the controls that we activated called Duplicate Drawing. Click that, and you notice a slice has appeared down the exposure. This means it has become a new drawing, and we can update what's happening on it without fear that the original is going to be messed with in any way. Now this can be quite confusing to remember which drawing is placed where, but you can get an easy point of reference by looking just here on the camera view. Notice that it says drawing 1, drawing 3, and then drawing 2. It appears out of order on the timeline because that's the order I created them in. I made drawing 1, then I made drawing 2 over here, and then I made drawing 3 in the middle. They can be renamed as you wish. So if I right click on that section and go to drawings, rename drawing, I can change it from 3 to face, as this is the one with the face on it, and notice that it now says drawing face. The first word drawing appearing because that is what the layer is called. So if I change this to man, it's now called man face, man 1, man 2, etc. So I hope how I explain that makes sense. Let me know if you're still confused about what this means and what this is doing in any way, because it's a very fundamental part of animating with any Toon Boom product. But that's how it works. Frames, drawings, layers, elements. I encourage you to experiment in a blankish file like this, just to shift things about, draw in different ways, move things around with the different tools, and see and feel for how the program responds and behaves with what you're trying to do. Remember, the two main ways of moving something around is with the black arrow selection and the free transform tool. There are more precise ways of manipulating your images with these two methods. With the black arrow selection tool, which is one of several artwork manipulating ones, you also have the cutter and the contour editor, as well as several others. And the free transform tool also has these here, which are exclusive tools for movement, rotation, scale, and there's a few others as well. You can get to these by right-clicking along the top and going to Advanced Animation, and those tools will appear. So good luck with your tests and experiments with that. I appreciate hearing how it goes. Have some fun, and I'll see you in the next one.